My name is Joe Ahern. I'm CEO of the international consultancy firm, the Leading Edge Group. We work with thought leaders from around the world, communicating the message of lean and change management. With me this evening is Michael Ballé in the first episode of our Sensei series. Michael is a Gemba coach and author of The Lean Manager and The Gold Mine. So what is real lean?
Lean is really trying to generalize the lessons we get from Toyota. It always has been. And there's a half a century tradition of what Toyota is trying to do. Back, I think, in 77, they published the very first article they published about Lean, and they said, well, TPS, what they did is two pillars. One is just in time, and the other is respect for people, which is developing every employee to the fullness of their ability. So I think that what we call real lean is to work within the Toyota tradition on trying to understand how do we reconcile the just-in-time part, which involves quality, reducing lead time, improving processes, and the respect for people, which is improved developing both their technical abilities and their ability to work with others. So real lean is a place where the manager gets to create this positive feedback loop between better people, better process, and constantly work in this. This creates what Argyris used to call double loop learning. Because first, the single loop learning is that as people face their problems, as you develop their autonomy in facing problems, they come up with more innovative solutions. That's the first loop. You just solve the problems. But the double loop is that as a manager, when you start studying how they solve problems, what kind of problems you encounter, you have higher level issues, and you realize that many of the problems people encounter come from your own policies and your own decisions, and how a tactical decision has become a policy, or your own understanding of the market. So as they learn, you learn. And I think that that's what the real lean is about, is this joint learning that people solve local problems, they learn. As a manager, you study their solutions and their ideas, and you think back of your global problems and you learn. Because it's not a Taylorist approach. It really is this inclusive approach of learning together and of getting people to agree on their problems rather than focus on solutions. And the most important thing is understanding that it's not stable. The goal of continuous improvement is continuous improvement. So this is something that grows organically rather than something that can be mechanically applied. And I think that's fairly radical. And there's a just straightforward problem of access to this tradition and access to this knowledge. Now, what is interesting about Lean is that there is a real know-how, which is just in time. And in actual fact, the pull system that makes just in time a reality. Without the pull system to find problems, to identify problems, you're still completely lost. Because to be honest, it's not just about problem solving. You need problem finding. What is a problem? What is not? Problem facing. How do you face problems you don't want to face? Problem framing, which is how do you define what the problem is in a way that people will look for a certain kind of solutions. Finally, problem solving, and finally, learning. So problem solving is definitely one of the elements. But without the just-in-time element of Lean, you don't know which problems you should address. So the pull system creates an architecture for the problem solving. It tells you which problems to address.
Just to move on, I suppose, to healthcare systems. And as you know, Michael, healthcare systems are creaking at the seams. You have budget deficits and you have inefficient processes across internationally. Can Lean, can the concepts of Lean save our healthcare systems?
Oh, no debate. Absolutely. First thing is to focus again on the patient. The first thing is to put care back into healthcare. The great thing about healthcare people is that people in healthcare are there because they really want to care. The question is, how many obstacles does the organization put in the way to take care of patients? Now, if you take care of the obstacles one after the other, and you liberate their heart to care, their willingness to care, suddenly you also find that your costs go down. So yes, I really, if there is one place where lean is definitely has definitely potential, is healthcare. What makes a company lean? What makes a company lean is first less rework. So you increase your margin because in most companies, about half of their margin goes away in defectives and delivery. So less rework. Second, better cash. Because as you accelerate the process and don't play silly buggers game with all the inventory stuff and so forth, you build up the cash. Third, less corporate. Because as you do less projects and you focus your projects on care for patients and you don't have all these silly projects going around, it takes less time away from caring for people. If you just add up the cost of all these healthcare projects in terms of both the dedicated people and taking people out of the process, this is actually time you would take away from patients. Give it back to patients. Take care of the patients. So there you have massive cost. And finally, as you do these three things, you will realize that the investments, your decisions you're making are just completely silly. So they're another overcost. So the reason healthcare costs so much is not because unit costs are high. They're not actually. We don't pay people that much. We need more people. That's not the issue. The issue is we make penny pinching decisions that have negative consequences for the patients, negative consequences for the fluidity of the process, negative consequences for the investment we make, plus add on a lot of structural cost. So the only answer that I can see that is a totally lean answer is to have less lean audits and more care.
Where next for lean? Will lean be around for the next 10 years? Or maybe it'll be called something else. What do you think?
Well, you know, when I grew up, we discussed about management fashions. Don't you remember that time? Mm-hmm. The big debate was the new fashion.
Yeah.
And it turned out these fashions are all gone and only lean is left.
Thank you, Michael, for your insight into lean. I hope our viewers have enjoyed watching our first video in the Sensei series. For further information, you can please contact our website, www.leadingedgegroup.com.